Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host, Flavia Barris, as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur.
Hey, Lifestyle Solopreneurs. Today we get to speak with Mark Yegge. He is the wealth architect. He's a lifelong learner, author, course creator, mentor, and a fund manager. He has traded over $14 billion worth of securities. Using his experience and expertise, he's on a mission to change the way that we all invest. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you, Flavia. Great to be here. Excited.
It's so exciting to have you here. And I think, first of all, let's go with like the preliminaries, because you and I can throw a word like securities around, and I have a legal background so that, I know what securities are and securities laws and all of that. But a lot of people may hear securities and for all they know, you're selling like Ring doorbells. So tell us what securities means in your world.
Yeah, well, we don't ring doorbells, but securities to me just means we basically trade stocks and options, and we create what we call, as our tagline is, we create safe, reliable income from the stock market. And most people don't know you can do that. They know you can do it in real estate, but they don't know you can do it in the stock market. So we can.
I think a lot of people, when they think of the stock market, they picture New York, Wall Street, people in suits, sweating, yelling stuff, and maybe don't really, or maybe it's almost like they think of it as like, oh yeah, I think my 401k might be invested in stocks. It's in some fund that said target retirement 3052 or whatever that, for a lot of people that year that is picked for their target date is far off. Others, it's a little bit closer. So tell us a little bit about what you do sort of day to day. What is the lifestyle of someone like you?
Yeah, so I actually used to be one of those guys in the suits and had a Wall Street company for 10, 11 years, sold it to a Wall Street company. And so I've been in all sides of the business. But if you're asking what my life looks like today, it's markedly different. So today I get to travel the world. I think I'm at like 56 countries. I got 44 left. And I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, just what your show is all about. And I live off my laptop. I run 3 hedge funds. And I also teach people that don't qualify or don't want to give up their money to somebody else running the hedge fund. I teach them how to do exactly what I do in the hedge fund, and that's create safe, reliable income from the stock market. So we show people how to make 2 to 4% a month. That's basically where we start. That's our most conservative way of doing it. And I can get really into it if you want, but that's what we do. And I have a saying, Flavia, called never give up your power in your health, your wealth, or your time. And so often, those are the 3 critical areas of life that we just give up our power to people that are more expert than us, right? We listen to somebody on TV, they give us a stock tip, and all of a sudden, that is the thing that we need to buy. And it's probably the wrong time to buy it if you heard it on TV. And my goal is to show people that financial education is the way out. We're not really taught much in school about financial education. And I don't know about you, but I use money every day. And I certainly don't use Shakespeare and the Pythagorean theorem and the ancient Egyptians every day, but I feel like I learned a heck of a lot more about those things than about how to handle money. So we're trying to change that.
Awesome. And define for us, because I want this show to also be educational, because a lot of people, we have so many different experts, topics, people from all different, niches. We have people who are in real estate. We have others who, I had one great guest, Elaine Haney. She designs a few t-shirt designs, every morning, uploads them to Amazon and makes a really just very healthy income working, an hour or 2 each morning. So really a lot of different things. So tell us, in your world, what exactly is a hedge fund?
Okay, so a hedge fund is really just a pool of assets. So it's generally a bunch of rich people that hang out together with their money, not together physically, but like they pool their money together. And then one person or group of people, in my case, that's me, we do the investing for them. And generally these are people that are too busy to handle the money, or they don't want to spend their time doing that. So they give it up to somebody that has a system like me. That's really all it is. It's pretty simple, but it's not for everybody, because generally they call it, the hedge funds are supposed to be for sophisticated investors and people that have a little bit more risk tolerance in the market. And our hedge fund does move around a bit, but we do try to create returns that are 2 to 4% a month. And we have been pretty pretty darn on target for doing that and actually exceeding that. So hopefully that was a good enough explanation.
It's great. No, and let's do a little bit of a public service announcement because I'm in the real estate world. You're in the stock world and securities world. Different. There's a lot of overlap. We can talk a little bit maybe about where there's some overlap with REITs and things. But one thing that I think would be a great public service announcement, because I get this all the time, especially since I'm an attorney and I work in real estate. If I could count the number of times that somebody has come up to me and said, hey, I want to talk to a few friends and family and neighbors and maybe people in the PTA with me and see if I can get everyone to pitch in $20,000, which isn't that much. But if I can get like 20 people to put in $20,000, we can then like buy this great apartment building and run it and everyone makes a great return. And this sounds awesome. Can you help me put this together? And it's funny because I normally then have to go into kind of almost a tutorial on securities laws and a lot of the intricacies of raising funds from people that are strangers to you. And so I know that probably comes up a lot in your world as well with hedge funds. Some people listening to this episode might think, oh, a hedge fund, I should go put one of those together next week. So tell us a little bit about sort of the regulatory, without going too far into the weeds, but just to explain to people, if you want to run a hedge fund, there's a couple hoops you have to jump through.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them. And I have a Wall Street background. I've had about every license you can possibly have because I ran a brokerage firm. And first of all, just from a basic common sense perspective, you do not want to be handling other people's money. Trust me when I tell you I have a system, and when the system doesn't work right, or sometimes you lose money, it happens in the market. Gosh, I lose more sleep than if I just lost my own. So you better think long and hard if you want to handle somebody else's money. And then number two, you can't just go out and put a shingle out and just start handling people's money. You have to have all the proper disclosures. But I think my documents are up to 180 pages of disclaimers and notices and warnings and ways that you can lose money. And you need to read through all of those risks and disclosures that we have, and any hedge fund has, and anybody that's going to be, investing your money, so that that there's a potential for you to have a loss. So I really don't recommend that for anybody. There are mutual funds out there. There are ways to syndicate things. There's lots of people that do this. You don't want to be in that business.
So now that we've kind of clarified that, because I also didn't want to accidentally inspire someone to go and commit securities fraud, because it sounds amazing. So for the ordinary Joe or Jill, or let's pick like a gender neutral name, but for the ordinary person who's like, I want to get involved in the stock market, I know nothing about it. Where should they start? Where should they research? What's kind of like the starting square?
So great. And I encourage everybody to do this. And I know you do too. It's financial education. And there's so many places that you can learn. Like one of the 3 books that I recommend people read, a lot of people call me and have me mentor them or whatever, grad students and things like that. And I'm like, look, you got to read 3 books before I even talk to you. One is Think and Grow Rich. The other one is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the third one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you read that, he has a lot of interesting things that he weaves into the story there. But there's all kinds of free resources out there. I have lots of tutorials. I have a book called Hacking Money. I have a site called hackingmoney.com. But there are just tons and tons of places just to start learning. You can even go to E-Trade or Ameritrade or any of the brokerage firms and start poking around on there. They all have introductory classes on investing. And, if you just start to learn and take that power, you can become a better investor and at least have some more power over your money.
For the beginners, do you encourage them to first start investing in individual stocks, or do you believe in the mutual fund sort of theory of having someone else diversify for you?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think back to my childhood, which is when I invested. I invested in my first stock. It was a single stock when I was 12 years old, and that stock doubled. And then I bought another one called US Air, and it doubled. And I had a couple of doubles in a row, which might have been the curse, but I've been in the market ever since. And so I believe that if you have ownership in an individual stock, you understand what that is. You understand what, if you like Starbucks and you understand their business, now as an owner, you can walk into the Starbucks and you can take a different view of the way that business runs and the way they report their financials, and you can learn a lot about it. I don't really believe in the full world of mutual fund investing. And I'll tell you why. It's because what mutual funds are like hedge funds, except they're for regular people, right? And anybody can invest in a mutual fund. And the fund manager basically goes out and diversifies like crazy. And you might have 500 different stocks in a mutual fund. Well, there are some good stocks in there. There's some bad stocks. There's some stocks that go out of business. And at the end of the day, you end up getting a very average return. And it's, you don't have to do a lot of work, but it's no reward either. You could get about the same performance, maybe a little bit less than the market does over time. And that's about 9.4% over the last 100 years, the stock market does. So why would you just want to wake up in the morning and go, oh, I just want to be average today? No, you want to be excellent. To be excellent, you have to really focus on anything, right? You have to focus on what you're good at. You have to focus on companies that you're enthused about, that are good companies that are doing good things, and just understand them really well. So I believe you diversify among assets. So have some real estate, have some Amazon, have an Amazon business of your own, have some money in the stock market, have some Bitcoin, but focus deeply inside those categories so that you can be successful within them.
I love that you use the D word, diversification. Because I believe in diversification, not just in investments, but also in income streams. I'm someone that sort of experienced what happens when you are unexpectedly taken sort of out of your everyday life and sort of just sequestered. I had to live in a hospital for a whole month. And I remember during that month, my attorney income, because at the time I was pretty much a full-time attorney. And then I had real estate investments and I'd written some books, so some royalty income, but nothing to replace my everyday income. And when the faucet just turned off on the time trading income, the hourly billing, it was life-changing, actually. That was the whole premise of the podcast. If anyone goes back to episode number 1, way back when, you'll actually hear that episode where I tell that story, because it made me realize we cannot put all of our eggs in one basket. You really can't.
Yeah. Well, sorry you went through that, but from that became the birth of some really great stuff in your life, I'll bet, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't regret it for a second, for many reasons. Primarily because my daughter was born 2 months early. So that's why we had to stay with her in the hospital for a month, but she's 100% great. I mean, no issues there. So it was really actually the best and the worst of times, as they say. It was an amazing time, but also a lot of life-changing moments there. Yeah. So for your business, I think there's probably a lot of hedge fund managers and people who work in the stock market who don't guest on podcasts, who don't educate others, who don't become kind of outspoken and helping a lot of people make that transition into stock investing. But what was the driving force that took you public?
Well, I believe you said the magic word to me. I said the D word. You said the other word. It's passive income, right? Maybe if it's hyphenated, it's one word, but it's 2 words really. And I believe so much in passive income that's kind of what I focus everything I do on. So I have over 14 streams of passive income. The hedge funds are just a minor part of what I do, but I also I write books. I have a podcast. And then I have a course and a mastermind group around the course that teaches people to do exactly what I do. So passive income is really what drives me. So that's the genesis of everything I do. And I want to teach other people how to do passive income. And you know why? And the people that are listening to this podcast, if you don't have passive income, you should probably try to create at least one passive income stream every year. And look, in 10 years, you'll have 10 income streams that are bringing in money while you're out enjoying the world, doing whatever it is you do. And that's really the focus for me, is that if you can just do that, you can make the world a better place. You can enjoy your life. You can spend more time with your loved ones. And to me, that's how you improve not only your life, but the life of the people around you.
And I know a lot of people struggle with doing things for themselves. That's why there's the whole self-care movement. Yeah. People are like, come on, we have to force ourselves to treat ourselves really well and to do good things for ourselves. So I think there's also sometimes a little bit of that with sort of the effort it takes to get the ball rolling, to create something that is passive later, because passive income is almost never passive from day one.
That's
Usually
true.
You have to roll that boulder by hand for a little while until you hit the downslope, and then now it's rolling, right? And for a lot of people, if you don't do it for yourself, because it does take effort, a lot of this, it takes research, it takes motivation, dedication, diligence. Do it for your kids. Do it for your family. Do it for that person that might need you to have passive income, because maybe somebody's going to need you to take some time off to take care of them, or somebody's going to need someone to help them pay for college. And you can be that person if you make that effort now to build an empire for yourself financially, especially if a majority or at least a good portion of it is passive, so that you can take time off and have that time freedom.
So true. And a lot of times we just let life get in the way, and all of a sudden we wake up and we're 65 years old and we're like, wait a minute, what happened to all the years? And now my hips hurt, my knees hurt, and I can't do the traveling that I wanted to do. I've got the money now, but maybe then it's too late. So, I think people like you are trying to empower people in the world to show them that there are different ways, and you got to do it for other people as well.
So tell us a little bit about how you've structured your education programs. Is it group coaching? Is it one-on-one? Do you have a lot of, videos out there? What is your kind of method? Because it's hard to teach technical things. I've done it. I've taught law. I've taught small business. I've taught publishing, and breaking down something into actionable steps that are easy to understand, easy to implement and do. It's not easy. So what's your secret sauce?
Well, I guess my secret sauce is being able to take something complex and make it simple. People have told me that that's something that I'm fairly good at. And what I do is I use lots of analogies, things that people can understand. And so the stock market can be as hard as you want it or as simple as you want it. And we try to make it really simple. What we do is we have a mastermind group. So our mastermind group it's a mastermind and mentorship group. We have meetings every Friday at 2:00 where we get on and we share what stocks we're investing in and why. And we hold each other accountable and support each other. And that's a really important part of investing, is if you're just sitting behind a computer, you start to make emotional decisions. And you and I both know that when you make emotional decisions, they're probably not the best decisions, right? It's better to make a little bit more logical decisions, or maybe even intuitive decisions mixed with logic, than just plain emotions. If you make decisions from sadness or anger, those decisions generally don't serve you as well. So what we do is we teach people a set of rules. If you want to do anything, you got to do it. You want to do anything right, you got to learn how to do it right. And so anything that's worth doing right is got a system around it. And we believe a system is got a set of rules. And those set of rules help you to eliminate the emotions when it comes to making those decisions, because money and emotion are tied together. So if we can eliminate the emotions from those money decisions, we don't make dumb decisions. There's probably one or two listeners maybe right now that are listening to this podcast going, you know what? I bought that stock when so-and-so on TV said to buy it, and that was the wrong time. It started to go down. And then as soon as I sold it, that's when it went up. And I hear that story so much. And I want to prevent people from making that story, because that's not a system. That's like, you think the problem is it's like marriage. It's really easy to get into a stock and it's difficult to sell. It should be the opposite way around. Like, it should be very difficult to click that mouse and make that trade. You should have a system around what you do when it goes up, what you do when it goes down, what your target is, what your stop loss is, those kinds of things. So we teach people that, and we do it in a format of, I know one of your sponsors is Kajabi. And so we use Kajabi, and we have over 150 modules in our courses. They're not hard to understand. They're 10, 15 minutes long. And then we have quizzes and tests. And through those courses, people start to see, they're over my shoulder. They see the trades. They see the explanations of why we do them. They see me yelling at them like, don't do this, please don't make this mistake, even though they probably will. And that's how we put it all together. And so we have 3 courses. We have an ecosystem which gets mentorship from me. We have a group that is on, like-minded individuals are all on the same journey. And then we have those calls on Friday. And then I even have something called the private access group, where I actually tell you the same things that I'm buying in the hedge fund, so that if you were to want to learn from those things or even mimic them, you could do that as well. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And I know you probably have a lot of sort of favorite students and case studies and stories, but share with us maybe one or two of what, ones that come to mind. They don't have to be obviously your very favorite. I don't want to make you pick favorites right now and have any of your students say, wait, why didn't he pick my story? My story's great. So just a couple that come to mind of people let's focus on maybe a couple stories of people that were not already involved in stocks at all when they came to you.
Yeah, great. So I basically fall in love with the people that are in my program. They become family to me. So I could tell you a story about every single one of them, because they're all really inspiring. I'll just pick one for now, and that's a guy named Larry. Larry is a physician out in your neck of the woods, out in California. And a lot of doctors, and I didn't know this, a lot of physicians, they like being a physician from the fact that they're helping people, but they don't like the politics. And so it's the politics that makes them want to retire and get out of that and not have to deal with the politics. So Larry's been in the program now going on a couple of years, but when he started, he had very, very little experience. He was doing lots of real estate investing and other kinds of investing, but very little experience in stocks and options. And he has basically made a pledge to us in the group that he's going to quit his job this year. Now, he's in his late 40s, and that's a pretty early time after all that education to quit your job. But he is so jaded about the 9 to 5, and he's so excited about what he can do with his money when he focuses on it through our program that he has made that pledge. I'm going to retire by the end of the year, and I'm hoping we hold him to it, and I hope he can do it. And we have several other stories of people that are doing that. We have a pharmacist that she quit her job last year to focus on her horse business. She teaches kids how to ride horses, and so she gets to spend her time doing that love, and she doesn't have to deal with the day-to-day political environment of pharmacy. I can tell you stories and stories of people that do that. And then I have one last story I will tell you. Just a quick thing is that one of my first students was a person that I met in Florida, and she was going to somebody else's training, and she was just overwhelmed with the amount of options that they gave in that training. And she met me in the hot tub, and she's like, I just don't know which one to do. And I said, well, that's because they're teaching you 32 different ways to do it. And you only need one. And she's been in the program. She's up to more than 7 figures now. She's retired, and she just lives off the income that she makes in the cash flow machine, which is the name of my program. So that's why I do this. I do this because I get to help people transform their lives and go in a different direction than if they just had to work that 9 to 5.
That's amazing. And for you to say that she's living off the income. So a lot of people are under the sort of mistaken impression that stocks are all about you buy something, you just hold it, and you hope that later you can sell it for more. But maybe just touch on like dividend stocks and other techniques where a stock portfolio can actually give you monthly or annual or quarterly income.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to make money in the market. And my least favorite way is the capital gains way, where you just buy something, sit on it for 20 years and hope that it goes up. And that's what so many people do. It's passive investing. They sit back and they wait for that capital gain. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But there are ways to make money off of dividends. But unfortunately, dividends are 3-4% on average in the market. You can buy real estate investment trusts, REITs they're called, and you can make money because REITs are by law required to pay out a certain amount of money income from the income that they create. But that's usually not very high either. That's 4, 5, 6% depending on the amount of risk that you take. And then what we do is we have a technique. It's basically like if you're familiar with owning a house and renting it to somebody, it's the same thing. We own a stock and we rent the option to buy the stock from us, from that person who wants to take that risk. And so it's a concept that we call renting stocks. And it's around the cornerstone of finding the right stock in the right market at the right spot on the chart. All of those 3 things increase the probabilities that we're going to be correct. Not that we know we're going to be correct. We're just trying to increase the probabilities. And then what we do is we do something called collecting the rent, or squeezing the juice, we call it internally. And every week or every month, we squeeze the juice out of that income. And it works out to be about 2 to 4% a month on the most conservative side of what we do. And so a lot of people, what they do is they create this program so that they can set up a lifetime of income from the stocks that they own. And we show them how to do that.
Well, for anybody that heard all of that and either is nodding their head going, I get it, I love it, I want that, or they're shaking their head saying, I need that told to me again, but slower and with illustrations that I can look at and watch. Because some people are visual learners, right? Even people who love podcasts. I love podcasts, but I'm actually a visual learner. Where do they go to connect with you, to learn more about your programs and to follow you?
Yeah, thank you. And let's get the word out about how people can get financial freedom. I know that's part of what your mission is, but I've set up a page for the listeners of this podcast, and it's go.destinycreation.com. So it's go.destinycreation.com/Flavia, Flavia. So they'll be able to go there. We'll have, links to the podcast. We'll have also a book called Regular Paychecks. It's an ebook that they can kind of very simply read. It's about, I think it's 19 or 20 pages, get an idea, and then they can poke around. And we have little animations that kind of show them how people make money. And we try to make it as simple and accessible to people as possible, because I believe that we can change the world if people start to take power over their money into their own hands.
Well, I love it, because in a way you're testing my audience on their knowledge of how to spell my first name. Because again, podcasts are it's an audio type of format. So a lot of people maybe hear my name all the time, don't know how to spell it. So go ahead, everybody, and go to go.destinycreation.com/Flavia. And Flavia is spelled Flavia. And that's great, Mark. That's very generous of you. We appreciate not only your time and expertise, but also that you are out there teaching others how to do something that can mean so much for their life, for their families, for their legacy. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much for all that you do. It's been a pleasure.
Guess what, lifestyle solopreneurs? If you don't yet have an online business earning you enough passive income to live the life of your dreams, I'd like to suggest you consider trying out Kajabi. Kajabi is an all-in-one solution where you can create and teach online courses, publish a paid newsletter, launch a free or paid podcast, process payments, build one-on-one coaching portals for your clients, and much, much more. I personally use Kajabi to power numerous successful and profitable online businesses. Lifestyle solopreneurs, there's a free trial of Kajabi waiting for you at this link, www.kfreetrial.com. You can try Kajabi for free, no obligation, by going to www.kfreetrial.com. Again, kfreetrial.com, and that K stands for Kajabi. Starting an online business helped me break free from that corporate grind, and I hope it does the same for you. You have nothing to lose and absolutely everything to gain. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, and see you next time.